Good Monday morning, church. This is Brother Matt again. Happy Memorial Day to you. This is the day that we honor our fallen heroes, those men and women who gave the ultimate sacrifice for the freedom that we enjoy today. And I hope that you will remember the friends and families of those fallen heroes today, especially if they are a part of your family. They are mine. Today we're going to look at Acts chapter 9, where we run into Saul again. We haven't heard from him since Stephen's death. He was holding the cloaks as some of the men from the council stoned Stephen to death. So how would we describe Saul at this point? He is a fanatical, he is radical, he's passionate, misplaced passion, obviously, and he is a self-appointed man on a mission to stamp out this revolution. These Christians called the way are causing all kind of havoc, all kind of trouble for the religious establishment. Saul is an angry, violent man, unquestionably convinced of his own self-righteousness, knowing, with absolute certainty that he is doing God's work, but he is spiritually blind. Why would Saul choose Damascus, though? Why is he going to Damascus? He went to the high priest to get papers so that he could go to Damascus and arrest as many Christians as he could find and then bring them back to Jerusalem and incarcerate them. And I think the reason that he chose Damascus because Damascus was a hub of trade located about 100 miles from Jerusalem. Damascus was of strategic importance. It was a hub of commerce from which trade caravans reached into Syria, Mesopotamia, Persia, and Arabia. Christianity could spread quickly from Damascus if it was not contained. So Saul was on a mission for God, or so he thought. And then Saul encounters Jesus. What did Saul learn from his encounter with Jesus? What did God reveal to him? First of all, I think Saul realized the error of his ways. His whole way of dealing with God was wrong. His entire concept of God was wrong. He had been zealously wasting his life. And this was a real wake-up call for Saul. Secondly, Saul sincerely thought that he was serving God by viciously attacking Christians. But now he has discovered that he's been fighting against God. He had deceived himself. Self-righteous people today are often convinced that their way is the only way. They are passionate, but they are wrong. We need to be in God's will and in God's timing, being obedient to what God is telling us to do and not what we think we ought to do. We also need to note that Jesus asked Saul why he was persecuting him and not his followers. He didn't say, why are you persecuting the way? Why are you persecuting these Christians? He says, why are you persecuting me? Do you remember what David said in Psalm 51 about his sin, about when he sinned? David said, against you only have I sinned and done what is evil in your sight. So you are right in your verdict and justified when you judge. When we sin or do things that are contrary to God's will, we are coming against God. Instead of being friends with God, we become enemies of God. But Jesus does not condemn, rebuke, or judge Saul. Rather, he instructed him to go to Damascus and wait for further guidance. Many times God will not answer our prayers or answer our needs, our concerns quickly because he wants us to wait on him. He wants us to wait for his answer. And waiting sometimes is the hardest part. What was ironic about the way Saul entered Damascus was that he was led in like a child by the hand. the very opposite way of how he might have anticipated entering Damascus. He had been spiritually blind, but now he was physically blind. On the road to Damascus, the light went on for Saul, and he was never the same. My question to you today is this: have you ever encountered the living God? Are you able to say, the Lord met me on the road I was traveling, and my life was forever changed? You know, each of us have our own story to tell, a story that is uniquely our own. But the basic story doesn't change, does it? All of us at one time were walking down the wrong path, away from God. We were enemies of God. But now that God has entered our life, now that we are in Christ and Christ is in us, we are sons and daughters of God. You see, God chose Saul and knocked him off his donkey and grabbed a hold of Saul's heart. Has God grabbed a hold of your heart? Each of us have a before and after story to tell. And it is probably our most powerful witnessing tool. You are an expert in sharing your story with others. No one can tell it like you. My prayer, my hope today is that maybe God will give you an opportunity to share your story and help someone else see how God can change their life. I was telling the Fresh Start folks the other night how God had changed my life and that He was using my brokenness to speak to broken people. God can do the same for you. He can use the experiences that you have gone through, the troubles, the hardships, the heartaches, and if you will allow Him to work in you and through you, you can speak to other people too as well. I pray that you have a great holiday today. Enjoy being with family and friends. I can't wait till we're back together again. I miss you. I love you. As always, be safe, be healthy, and stay in Christ's arms. God bless you all. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.